On today's Core of the Bible Daily Insight, we're talking about being vigilant against deception. And how to be vigilant against deception, one must know both the Bible and the teacher. In 2 Timothy 3, Paul writes this to Timothy. He says, "Evil men and impostors will go on from bad to worse, deceivers and deceived. But as for you, continue in what you have learned and have firmly believed, knowing from whom you have learned it." Paul is emphatic with his protege Timothy and is cautioning him to be fully aware of the deceivers who were infiltrating the ranks of the fledgling Messianic kingdom movement. Paul emphasizes that the deceivers would make themselves known not just by their teaching, but by their lifestyles and their actions. In 2 Timothy 3, he writes, "For these men will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, inhuman, implacable, slanderers, profligates, fierce, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, and holding the form of religion, but denying the power of it. Avoid such people." Wow, well, that's quite a list. But Paul here is describing the corrupt Jews who were coming against the teachings of the Messiah and the apostolic communities that were growing amidst the synagogues of the first century. One has only to read the denunciations or the woes of Yeshua against these individuals to know who they were. In Matthew 23, Yeshua says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you traverse sea and land to make a single proselyte, and when he becomes a proselyte, you make him twice as much a child of hell as yourselves. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint and dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faith. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others. Woe to you, Pharisees and hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful, but within they are full of dead men's bones and all uncleanness." And in the Gospel of Luke, the narrative continues, and Yeshua continues to come against the Pharisees and says, "Woe to you, Pharisees, for you tithe mint and rue and every herb, and neglect justice and the love of God. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others. Woe to you, Pharisees, for you love the best seat in the synagogues and salutations in the marketplaces." And he said, "Woe to you, scribes also, for you load men with burdens hard to bear, and you yourselves do not touch the burdens with one of your fingers. Woe to you, scribes, for you have taken away the key of knowledge. You did not enter yourselves, and you hindered those who were entering." Wow, well, that's quite the list. But as we can see, what Yeshua was coming against was the fact that they were hypocrites. They had the form of religion, but were denying its power, as Paul writes. As a contrast to this corruption, Paul instructs Timothy to look at the example of his own life and conduct. In 2 Timothy 3, Paul writes, "Now you have observed my teaching and my conduct, my aim in life, my faith, my patience, my love, my steadfastness, my persecutions, my sufferings, what befell me at Antioch, at Iconium, at Lystra, what persecutions I endured. Yet from them all the Lord rescued me. But as for you, continue in what you have learned and have firmly believed, knowing from whom you learned it, and how from childhood you have been acquainted with the sacred writings, which are able to instruct you for salvation through faith in Messiah Yeshua." So from this, we can see that there are two parts to vigilance in our understanding of the faith. First, we must thoroughly know the Torah, or the instruction of God. But we must also know from whom that word is being taught. If you're not aware of the actual lifestyles and practices of your teachers, you must exercise caution in what they're promoting. However, the complement to that is, if you are thoroughly familiar with the Scriptures, and by that I mean the Scriptures and not just what a certain denomination teaches about the Scriptures, then you will have a balance in being able to accurately evaluate anyone's representation of the Word of God, including my own. Well, I hope today's insight was helpful for you. As always, please visit coreofthebible.org for hundreds of other Bible articles like this, along with other podcast episodes and videos. Thanks so much for listening today. Take care.